Hey there, and welcome to episode 10 of this generation's conversation, the Relentless edition. Today is the incredible, epic conclusion to this amazing series that we have started, Your Last Relationship, What Went Wrong. We are diving straight back in from where we left off last week, so sit tight, grab yourself a cuppa, and enjoy this episode.
So, hi everyone. So we have another man with us here. Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Josh Godwin, whatever you want to call me.
Godwin as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Joshua Godwin, did you say?
Yes.
Wow. And your name is Shagun as well?
Yes, my Nigerian name is.
Wow. And we also have still with us here is
Bole.
Yes, Bolu's still with us. And of course, I'm here, Pastor Anu, and Pastor, do you want to introduce yourself again?
Hi, I'm Pastor Candy.
So, I think we'll call you SJ for now,
Yep.
if that's okay with you.
That's
SJ,
fine.
so the question we're asking the men today is, your last relationship, what went wrong? So just give us a story and tell us what actually happened with your relationship.
Okay. So the last person I was talking to, it wasn't actually a relationship, but it got quite deep into the talking stages, isn't it? But it kind of fizzled out quite abruptly because the female that I was talking to, she must have had some experiences before with some guys, but which she calls dark times, isn't it? But so it kind of interfered with when we were talking, innit? Because whilst we were talking, the guy must have popped up again. I think it was a guy from maybe a year before I was talking to. Yeah, and then it just kind of made her remember. Well, anyway, long story short is she couldn't make up her mind in it. So it just got to a point where I was like, she was sending mixed messages as well. And at that time, obviously, I'm the kind of guy when I'm like, I'm nice, but I won't take it when my niceness is being taken for granted. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. I just had to, the mixed messages that were being sent, I just had to kind of lock it off before. I had to kind of end it before it ends up in me being emotionally hurt.
Okay. Fair enough. Just to clarify, so the guy came back in the picture, and what, she wants to date him again?
Nah, it was from what I could gather, it was basically he had helped her through some times in it, and she kind of had unwanted feelings for him that kept coming back in it. So it was one of those ones.
Okay.
She wanted to get her head straight before going.
Right. There's a reason why she left the guy. So isn't that factor still there? And do you think that maybe if you had kept on, was she worth you potentially exploring the thing of, well, you left this guy for a reason, or do you just genuinely just think it was a waste of time?
Well, in other ways, the guy wasn't really a waste of time. I didn't really get the full story, and that was actually part of the main reasons why it dragged on. Because it took me a long time to actually get to the bottom of why she's still having feelings towards this guy. But eventually, it's kind of like he's helped her in some ways, isn't it? And
right.
That's all I could gather, really. But
so was she not being honest with the fact initially that she was getting feelings back from him?
Oh no, yeah, she was completely honest, and she told me every time. She
told you every time.
The guy popped up in it, but it's just I don't know what happened, what exactly happened between them, but it was affecting her quite a bit.
And how did that affect you as a guy? Did it ever knock your confidence at all? To think that, is there something wrong with him that she couldn't choose me over this guy?
Oh yeah, initially it knocked my confidence, but then when I got to the bottom of it, I was like, rah. All of this is like, I can't lie. It was one of those times where it was a point in my life where it was like, because it was first year college, innit? And then I was doing my mocks, and those mocks, the subjects I was doing were quite serious, and they kind of played a part on me, mentally, because I was always thinking about it, and I just couldn't focus in it. So it was one of those ones where I was thinking, why did I go through all of that stress when you could have just laid out all the just being straightforward from the beginning?
So she wasn't straightforward from the beginning. That's what I was trying to ask.
Nah.
Okay. Was there any red flags that you saw at the beginning that you think you ignored? Looking back now, she's like, oh my God, man, I should have clocked that she was like that. Like
No,
if you look back, okay, so it was just a straightforward thing, and then things just started coming out.
things just started coming out, and it's like the more I tried to think, the more I tried to um kind of stay positive and be like, yeah, nice, calm in it, take whatever time you need. You get what I'm saying? It just
Yeah.
kind of got a little bit more worse because I don't know. Until it got to a point where I had to physically say, "Yo, let's meet up. Like, let's actually talk." In it.
Yeah. What, with the guy or with the girl?
No, me. Oh no,
Oh,
no.
no, but who were you meeting up? The girl. Oh, phew, I was
Yeah,
like,
no, I don't know
okay.
the guy. I don't.
Oh,
Obviously, I would
like it's standard.
me outside.
Okay. Okay.
If
Oh,
I
that's me. I was like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I had to meet up. So it was the kind of thing when I say it was like she wasn't being straightforward, as in if I didn't call that conversation, she would have thought it would have fizzled out, and which it could have. But then I still had a lot of questions. I still had a lot of questions that were unanswered. So yeah, I asked
Right.
questions there and then.
Can I just ask, SJ, did you at any point during that time? So I know when we started asking you the question of your last story. So just to clarify, were you in a relationship, or at no point you were in a relationship? It was just that it could have been one, but because
It
of
was
what
on
was,
the verge.
it was what?
It was on the verge of becoming a
It was
relationship.
on the verge
I mean,
of
it was
becoming a
a.
relationship. Okay.
Could we argue that it was a relationship? She never became
I
your girlfriend, but you were communicating with this girl. If you see what I mean. So I
yeah.
didn't know. Would you class it as Pastor Candy? Would you not say it's a conversation that was going somewhere? So it's a form of a relationship.
It's a form of course, it is a form of
Yeah.
relationship, but not the way you will understand it as
No.
a standard
As in
boyfriend
label.
girlfriend.
Boyfriend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will be. We are not as a label, but it was definitely
Yeah.
a relationship. Something was
Yeah.
going on.
Right. And I think what I wanted to dive into is that whole thing where it affected your confidence. And the reason why I want to say that is because I feel like the question I want to ask you is, as you honestly be honest with us.
Yeah.
Do you think this experience has affected you moving forward? Honestly.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Now, no.
Previously?
Yeah, like let's say after how many years ago? It's like 2 years ago. For like a year and a half, it did. It really affected me. I just tried to shift my focus away from like just kind of not in the sense that I want to talk to girls, but I won't try and like go and talk to girls seriously.
Sorry, SJ. Did you say so? That was 2 years ago,
About 2 years ago.
and then you feel like you've moved on. At what point did you think
Yeah.
that it's okay now? I'm feeling much better.
Yeah.
And since then, you haven't had any other relationship.
No, when I say no, it affected me for about a year and a half because I was seeing the person
It's
quite
affected you for a
frequently.
year and a half. So we can say about 6 months now. You've been kind of much better.
Yeah, 6-7 months. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
And when you say, how did you get much better? I think because SJ, like I said, we want to help people and we want to know what happened. How did you get to okay?
Yeah. So opening up, really. I opened up to it's one of my sisters, but not actually my sister. Yeah, I just view her as a sister, innit?
Okay.
Because she actually knew the girl as well. So I opened up to her. I know she's a musician, so she kind of like done things to get my mind off of that. So she would invite me to like play with her in gigs, get me doing stuff to get my mind off of it. So there wasn't really a time where I was kind of just sitting down thinking.
So what were you discussing with that your sister? What were you saying?
I was telling her the whole situation, and she was kind of giving me advice on what I could do. And she actually kind of pushed me to actually say, yo, I need to actually sit down, actually get to the bottom of it.
Did you ever pray about it? Did you ever fast about it?
I didn't fast. No, I didn't fast, man. But I did pray about it. Yeah.
You prayed about it?
Yeah, I was praying for like guidance.
Guidance, okay. Yeah. Guidance in saying, walking away from the whole thing?
Just what to do, really.
Okay. Were you ever depressed from the whole thing, would you say? Low mood, like feeling like, life is worth living?
No, nothing like that. But I won't call it depressed, but I was like low because I couldn't. The reason why I was low is because it's like I couldn't shift my focus away from it. Whereas I was at a prime time where my focus needed to be somewhere else.
Yes.
So can I ask SJ? So I know maybe you've already answered that question, but the way if you look at yourself before you had that relationship and you look at yourself now, would you say you've changed? Your views have changed?
I wouldn't say I've changed, but I would say I've become more mature. Because if I look back at the situation, especially with everything that's gone, I would kind of look at myself at that time as naive, like continuing to.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you saw you were naive rather than.
Yeah.
So do you think this girl took advantage of that situation then potentially?
In terms of trying to let it just fizzle out, in that sense, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay, I'm gonna do this. I feel like I communicate better with scenarios. I'm gonna say this. There's an event, RG event on campus, Susu, the front of Susu. We're organizing this Valentine event. We've done the first event we've done since COVID proper, like that involves like a breakout session, a massive one. This is like the biggest one we've done, and there are
Hey.
loads and I'm speaking in faith now. There are loads
Yeah.
and loads of students there that have come,
Oh,
and you're sat there and you're the one that we've asked to kind of do a special number with Judy, Doms, and a girl called Rachel, and anyway, after you finish, a girl comes up to you and says, "Oh my gosh, you're really, really, really good." I said, "Oh, thank you so much." "Oh, I go to this church. I've not found a good church yet." "Oh, what year are you in?" She's in her first year. By now, you're in your second year. And you guys start talking. You invite her to church and things like that. You start communicating, keeping everything good, and you start to like her. And all of us were teasing you about her because she's really, really cool. She's obviously, like I said, she's starting to come to church. She sings very, very well. And then as you guys are talking, somebody calls and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I really, really need to pick this phone call." So you try to call her back, but her phone is still busy. It is now an hour trying to call her back. Her phone is still busy. And then finally she calls you back. Not that same day, the next day. She's like, "I'm so sorry." And she's like, "Oh, what happened?" So our ex-boyfriend is called. And he's just lost his dad, and the only person he feels like he can talk to is her, and she's feeling really, really bad. She feels like maybe she should see him because she's never heard him this sad. This is a girl that everybody thinks is amazing. You think she's amazing, and basically you guys have started dating for maybe 2 weeks now. What are you gonna do?
Hey, that's a sticky one, My question would be, why is she the only one that he can?
Hey, go ask the brother. Don't ask me. I don't know why. That's his problem, isn't it? So it's not her, but they've dated. But
I mean, I won't do that.
SJ, listen, this girl, we all say she's amazing. There's something about her. And you're not the only one that can see an amazing girl. This brother clearly thought she was amazing. And she broke
So
up
he
with
wants
him.
to try and reclaim what he lost me.
No, I didn't know that. He's just lost his dad. And the only place he can find comfort is her.
Oh, okay. And that's why I say it's a sticky one because you kind of want to show compassion, but at the same time, it's like you need to know.
SJ, I'm not asking third person. I'm asking you because it's your experience, isn't it? What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would want to show compassion. But at the same time, obviously, I would have to. I mean, I've only known the girl for 2 weeks, so I would have to.
No, you've not known her for 2 weeks. You're dating her for 2 weeks. You guys have been talking for a while now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then we would have an understanding. Well, I'd assume we would have an understanding by then. So I would kind of just be like, okay, be careful. Like, just see what he's saying, innit? Ideally, like if he's saying he wants to meet up with her, that's a red flag from the guy, man. That you can talk on the phone if you want compassion. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
So my thing is, are you okay? Since you don't wanna commit, I'll push you even further. So he's just lost his dad, dude, and he's really struggling. And she says to you that, "Oh, SJ, I spoke to him on the phone. He's feeling very suicidal. This is now a month into it, and I feel like I should go see him." And she's not talking to you as much as she used to. What are you gonna do now?
Hey, Pastor, you're really pulling the string. I normally think a lot before I make moves, so I have to really think about it.
You think about it. Would you think that there's a thing at the back of your head saying that this relationship I've been here before, I should run because, man, the way this is going is not looking good? There's a part of you feel like that.
If this no, not initially, because I mean, if the situation gets to a point where I do feel, because I'm not in that situation right now, I can't actually formulate. So it's down to my feelings at the time, innit? So if it does get to a point where what's it called? I do see that she's really distancing herself from me, and
but not on purpose. Just because this guy is struggling and she's spending a lot of time trying to help. Yeah.
But yeah, if that's the case, then I don't know. I would be doubtful. I would be doubtful, but I want to say that I'm gonna go and
You won't
what's it
end the
called?
relationship, but it would create doubts in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone want to say anything else?
I like the scenario, Pastor Anu. I think no, it's important to faith, because that's one of the things I was trying to get at is you may until you are maybe faced with another challenge, you will really know whether you are able to move on
Heal.
from what or you've healed from what you've experienced before. And I think I'm not saying that we will all experience the same issues that we've had in our past relationship, but we'll experience issue that will trigger some things in us that have been triggered in the past, whatever it is. So now it's very important to know, okay, maybe it's not a matter of a girl liking two people, maybe it's something else, but it triggers the same sort of questioning and the same sort of lack of confidence that you may have experienced in the past. And what do you do? And I think that's a very good scenario that you maybe need to think of. How am I going to handle them? Because now I'm faced with them. I can't run away from them.
No.
It's not a theoretical thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And only then you will really know whether you've healed, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's what Pastor Kandi, that's basically, like Pastor Kandi rightly said, that's basically what I'm trying to get at. I think, 1 year and a half, it took you to go through this. You are now okay. I think what I'm trying, and I know that you're Christian, and I know you play Christian music and stuff like that, and I feel like God is giving you're doing something. And I think we, for example, in our church, Southampton, we're blessed. I feel like we should go back and thank this auntie because, it pushed you to do more. But sorry, I'm being silly. But my point is that, out of that, right, to explore a gift, sometimes situation fashion around us to bring out what it is that ordinarily would have hidden and we probably would have been in our comfort zone. Abraham had to leave his comfort zone to go where God called, his own. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So for you, certain situation had to push you. And unfortunately, I believe, okay, this one pushed you out. But my thing is, for you to really know that you are now in that place, because like Pastor Kandi rightly said, what here is happening here is not your confidence of, a girl is cheating on somebody else or she's found somebody else. What the enemy is trying to attack is your identity, that you're not good enough. And so situations will not just it might not be in a relationship, it might be in a job, that someone will be like, oh, you genuinely believe you deserve this mark, let's say in your exams, and you don't get it. And some dude that didn't read, clearly this guy was like jamming in the library. And then you're sitting there saying, am I good enough? That is what the enemy is trying to attack. And the reason why it's important is when you get married. Because, like Pastor Kandi said previously about things will come up in marriages. Maybe your wife is having a bad day, she's on a period, whatever is happening, and she says something, and it's like, what is she trying to say? Am I not good? I'm not a good enough father. Or maybe you carry your daughter and she's crying, but when she goes to her mother, she's comforted. But you forget that that's natural for every baby to do. Then you start thinking, am I not a good enough father? My point is, in every facet of your life, you need to be very aware of what the enemy is trying to attack, because it's just God is giving you a glimpse of what the enemy wants to challenge in your future, and you start to guard against it. Like when situations happen, it's not about your identity. God has called you perfect. You're more than enough. So nobody can ever make you question that. So whether your baby loves her mother, and when you carry her, she cries in the first 1 year or 6 months of a thing, has nothing to do with whether or not you're not the best father in the world. Whether or not somebody gets a promotion at that time is because God has said it's not your time to be promoted. Whether or not you date a girl that decides to end the relationship has nothing to do with the fact that you're not the most awesome dude ever. But it's something that I feel like maybe God is speaking to you, saying that, your identity, that you're not good enough, is what the enemy wants to challenge. And you must be aware of that, because it will try again. Not with the relationship, but in different facets of your life. So you have to be aware of that. Because 1 year and a half is a long time. That means this really did something. And I know, like my husband was speaking about this last week, about first love. And I know you might argue that you don't love this person. But hey, that's
No, this is my first.
Oh, okay, not your first love, but like first relationship, or what do they call it? I think Pastor Abi even mentioned a teenage love or whatever it is that somebody mentioned about teenage. I know you're not a teenager. Well, I think, how old were you? You must have been a teenager, was it? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So those kind of the relationship, like the emotions you feel at that very age is very, very strong. They're very, very strong because they're not that mature. They don't have ways of reasoning things, like you said yourself, like it's not mature yet. So like the way you reason through things and stuff like that is not necessarily the way like someone that 10 years later you'd have thought about it. So you attach a lot more emotions to that. That's why teenagers throw tantrums when their parents tell them to go to bed early. It's like, if someone told me to go to bed, I'm like, oh cool, whatever. But then you said that 13-year-old go to bed, what? But because they're not mature enough to deal with certain things. And I believe that certain emotions were attached then, and it's just like I'm just saying, I just think it's something to kind of think about. I don't know if Pastor Candy wants
I
to
was
say
going to
anything on
ask
this one.
SJ, did you have another relationship before her? Did you have other relationships before that particular one, the last one?
Yeah,
You've had a few?
yeah.
Okay. And not trying to go into depth into those ones, but the reason why I'm asking is something that Pastor Anu said about loving around that time of your life. I remember when I was a teenager, not so long ago, thank you.
Don't say anything.
I wish. But I remember when I was a teenager and I was a young adult, like she said, the emotions that you feel at the time can be very strong. And the experience that you have at that time can be like it's the end of the world sort of thing, maybe not for everybody, but it feels like that at the time. And it's only with time and maturity that you realize actually what was happening then was not the end of the world. It was just, teenage years. But one thing I know, that if those relationships, those times were not dealt with in the right manner, it scars you. One way or the other,
Yeah.
it scars you. Because at that particular time when you are 16, 18, coming into your 20s, you are developing into becoming a man or a woman. And all those experiences, they make you to an extent. And if you start entering your manhood years with some scars or something that is, with a limp, basically that experience gives you like a limp, and now you are limping into other relationship. I'm not saying that's the case for you, but I'm just trying to attract that for anyone else who may be listening. That it's very crucial to deal with some of those early disappointments in relationship, because it makes you. I know it did for me. You enter with other relationship in the early 20s with a lot of baggage sometimes. And if it's not dealt with, you think that it's the other person who is the issue. But actually, it's you, because of the hurt that you have experienced, because of the fact that it has indeed, like Pastor Anu said, it has really affected you and affected the way you see yourself. And no one at that time can really, maybe your friends, no one is really mature around you to tell you what's going on. And therefore you make those, you end up with having ideas and having, this is who I am. And you end up starting your adult life thinking that this is who you are. And that's not true. So it's very, very important to make sure it is dealt with appropriately in the right manner with the right guidance, because otherwise you will carry it in other relationships, whether, or with other aspects of your life, whether or not you are aware of it, it will have an impact. And even as older people, of my age, I would say, there are things that
Nah,
still
you're young.
thanks, SJ, but we know.
SJ, what is this?
If you are only in your 20s, then yeah, well, some of us are not in their 20s anymore. But
No, we're not.
but for sure, I look back at my life and I'm thinking that I'm having this issue that I'm dealing with because of what happened when I was in my teenage years, or what happened when I'm in my early 20s. This is how bad the enemy wants to disrupt people's life from an early stage. If he can break you then forever you'll be
Yeah,
limping. That's
that's
my
it.
my my
That's
my
good.
my take on that.
I was gonna say, the other thing I was gonna say was that in terms of you spoke about, I'm just talking about in general now, when people go through rejection, I think that's a huge emotion, and we hate using the word rejection in life because that means you were rejected. So we call it something else, mask it, call it, oh man, she's dumb, she doesn't know what she wants, da, da, da. He doesn't know what he wants, da, da. But ultimately, maybe parental, when fathers leave and things like that. And one thing I've noticed with men that become overprotective or become easily jealous is because when you track down and you speak to them, like there's a family friend that I know very well, and literally the wife texts somebody he thinks is an affair. He
Wow.
genuinely, the postman drops something. She has friends coming over, and it genuinely isn't that. But it's because of all the experiences that he has and he's never dealt with. And like his wife is just a very free, happy-go-lucky person. Like I think there was a scenario where they were walking on the street, and she got a flyer from a pastor, and she was now telling the pastor, "Oh my God, we just moved here. Oh wow, I can't wait to come to your church." And he took the paper and said, "Why are you flexing with the pastor? We're not going to the church." I mean, seriously. But
Oh,
but the
wow.
point is but you think, you say, oh wow, but this is like Pastor Candy said, when things are not dealt with, it becomes so okay that it becomes a reality. And when they were dating, those things were not there, and now they're married, it's there. So that's what I meant. Have you prayed and have you fasted? Some things the Bible tells you, 1 year and a half, in my own opinion, Pastor Candy, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a long time, and I think some things go away by not just praying but fasting. And what I want you to do, SJ, if it's not too much to ask, is when you in this fasting and prayer period, I will ask God the right questions. God, have I truly healed from this? And watch how God starts to open opportunities for you. And he might not even necessarily say, my son, you have healed. No, he will just throw situations your way and be like, hey, I have not healed at all. Oh. Do you understand? Or what? Or maybe God will throw a situation and be like, I'm okay. Or maybe you have that peace in your heart, like, I'm really, really okay. I don't know if you've been through that. Forgive me if you have. But for anybody else that's listening, if you feel like, yeah, man, I'm okay, whatever. It wasn't a year and a half, it was 6 months for me that I healed over it. But ask God the right questions. Have I really, really healed? And God will start to, like, there's a prayer they say, do not pray for patience, because God will throw, don't say you're patient, because God will throw scenarios your way that be like, yep, not patient at all. But, like, it's the same thing. Like, say to God, God, have I really, really gotten over this? Because when I do get married, I want to love my wife the same way Christ loved the church. And you cannot, when you're, the love things the best of all things. First Corinthians 13, I can't remember the whole thing. I talks about the
From verse
qualities of
8.
love. Yes, but yeah, it thinks about that. It doesn't think, he's not jealous. It doesn't think evil of people. The point is that for you to love your wife the way Christ loves the church, you must not think she's doing something dodgy. And like SJ, the bit that we're speaking about, you don't become a husband the day you marry. You start now. And what we spoke over and over again, Adam did not become, God gave him dominion before Eve came along. And God is giving you, called you somebody's husband if you decide to marry. God has called you the head of a family. Don't let the devil throw spanners in the work and affect you becoming all God has called you to be. And so for anybody listening, if somebody has broken up with you or treated you unfairly, man, woman, whatever you are, and you feel like you're okay, don't just accept you saying you're okay, because the same way the devil gives a false impression that he does not exist, is the way he hides all the things that will become a stumbling block in your future. It makes you feel like it's not there now, until you get to the place where you need to actually climb, and then you realize there's no stairs for you to step on, because there was nothing there. You didn't build anything over it.
It's really, really important what you've said, Pastor. But one thing I realized over life, and that's based on experience and observation around me, when the way a man reacts or the way a man handle a broken heart is different from the way a woman does it.
Yep.
I don't know why, because we always think, women, they are more emotional, women da da da, and every time you hear a love song is about women crying. But no, it's true, isn't it? But any what I realized with time is that the way is like man flu. If a woman has a flu, we get on with it. It's not fun, but we're gonna. But man flu is a whole different level, and I believe it's similar when it comes to a broken heart. It may not. It's deeper for men. There's something that is deeper to that for them, and especially in your early years of loving and dating. When you get a broken heart for a man, it really affects them. And then earlier we were discussing about the identity of a man, and you mentioned that, Pastor, that you're supposed to love your woman the way Christ loves us, etc. Who you are in Christ as a man, etc. A leader, the one who showed the way. If you have been scarred so badly by somebody, anyone, and especially somebody who you've opened your heart to, who you've made yourself vulnerable, then the way you're going to heal from that is very crucial, because if it is not dealt with properly, again, because of the depth a broken heart can be for a man that we women don't understand sometimes, we don't see it. We only start seeing it by the way you react to other relationships, by the way you enter them, by the way you come out of them, by the way you deal with women. And that is because the experiences that you have had in the beginning was so bad, and it has affected you so bad that even without knowing, you are now showing pride, showing whatever, exhibiting certain behaviors that are not supposed to be there. and it's something I have seen it myself with people in my life. When men get a broken heart, it is a different level. And it's something for women who are listening. It is not something we cannot afford to toy with men's heart. It is just wrong. That's something I wanted to say, because it is, if we as women want men to be the head of the home, we want men to be leaders, we want men to love us, we cannot afford as women to toy with men's heart. We can't do that. It is a big responsibility that we have been given. We cannot afford to do it, because it can really affect them, and it can affect their wives, their children, and generations after them because of a broken heart. So I'm not saying this is what has happened to you, SJ, but I just wanted to see it out there, because I have seen the way it can really impact people's life when relationship are not dealt with properly, and when, like you said, Pastor Anu, you are rejected on grounds that are, flimsy or whatever. It is really, it can have a lifetime impact on so many, and on the children of those people. So for all the women, all the ladies, the young ladies that listen to me, if there is anyone in your life that likes you, that loves you, be careful the way you handle them. That's what I really wanted to put it out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, because that's all like very useful. Because what's it called? If let's say if I didn't open up to the people that I was opening up to, I wouldn't probably would have, because there's actually, and I've seen it, some guys who, if something like this happens to them, they won't open up, they'll keep it close to themselves. They'll probably maybe tell one of the boys, they'll now be like, oh, this girl treated me this way now, and I have to now go, treat, like, I don't owe any loyalty to, it changes their whole mindset of how they treat. But yeah.
Thanks, AJ, for what you've said. I think, too many times in my life and my family as well, things getting really in bad shape when things are not dealt with. And it's true. People need to talk.
You need to communicate, because it's that anger. Because if someone doesn't speak, you think, you make assumption about their actions. This is the key about the Chibuke that was speaking earlier. Why it's important not to have internal conversation in your head when you're in a relationship with a woman, because if you do not speak to her, she would assume, and you assume based on the way she's reacting, and that's what the devil wants: lack of communication. So I think we'll wrap up. Thank you so much, SJ. The question I asked Chibuke, I'm going to ask Bolu. Bolu, would you do anything differently based on what you've heard today?
I would try and be there more, and try and understand, like the scenario that you put it about, when I'm thinking about what I would do as a father for my daughter. I would think about the way that she is seeing things and what she might need or how she might be feeling before I make assumptions of how she should be feeling in the situation.
Thank you. SJ, I know yours is like a different scenario, but moving forward, what are the things you would have in place to just make sure you're who God wants you to be in a relationship as a real man? What are the things you would have in place?
Oh yeah, 100 throughout this, like, especially over the past couple of years, increasing in maturity, and I really wish I'd prayed more. I really wished I'd put things in God's hands before embarking on things, because I generally don't. I'm not around to waste time or for time to be wasted. So yeah, just pray.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, you guys have been beyond amazing. Pastor Candia, any last words? Any final things to say?
I think I just wanted to reiterate what I said in the first podcast, which is thank you to Bolu, to Chibuke, to SJ, because it takes courage to talk about things like that, and and my hope is that it will enable other guys out there to feel comfortable enough to open up as well. The real issue that we are dealing with is being able to talk, like you mentioned, SJ, to being able to have that person that can speak to you and that can advise you in a godly manner, navigate this manhood. It is a big thing. We're not going to take it. We're not going to minimize it to make it look better. The reality is that being a man is tougher and tougher. So any outlet out there, anything that we can use as Christian to help young men to be who God called them to be must be used as much as possible. So thank you for all of you to participate in that. I think it's really amazing that you've agreed to open up and share your experiences. And I'm praying that will help at least one person out there who listens to it.
Thank you all so much for joining this podcast. Thank you, Pastor Candy. Thank you, Chibuke. Thank you, Bolu. Thank you, SJ. You guys have been beyond amazing. Thank you so much for just opening up your heart. And I pray that, you healed, you grew, you learned something from this. And more importantly, that we're able to help other people as they listen to this as well. If there's anybody that's listening to this podcast that's feeling like, oh, I've messed up, Pastor Anu, I want to find my way back to God. I just wanted to take a minute and just pray that God would forgive you, and that you find your way back to Him. And God's arms are literally just open wide, just ready for you. Is literally just loving you first, loving you regardless of your flaws. And God, there's nothing you can do that God will love you less. But there's something you can do to shut the enemy up and bring light into your life. And that is just turning away from everything that is not godly and towards God. And my prayer for every single one of you is that, you will find your way back to God through just following the crumbs of His love till you get into the arms of the Father. And if there's anybody that's going through rejection, may God just let you know that the greatest love of all is His love. And He loves you, regardless of anybody's opinion of you. And may God help our men to love their women the way Christ loved the church. Thank you all for listening. God bless you.
Whoa, what an incredible conclusion to this series of Your Last Relationship, What Went Wrong. We hope that whatever stage of relationship you are currently in, that this series has been a blessing to you. And if it has, then why not share it with someone else? And make sure that you come back again next week, as we will have another great episode lined up just for you. In the meantime, if you are looking for more great content, then why not subscribe to Covenant Church UK on YouTube, where you will find more inspirational videos which you can share with loved ones. See you next week.